Yeah. Good morning and welcome to Coffee with the Birds. My name is Curtis Dykstra, Parks Naturalist here with Ottawa County Parks. We're here at the Nature Center at Hemlock Crossing County Park, where we would typically meet and gather together as a birding community to enjoy coffee and the birds, but due to the circumstances of this year, we're a little different this year. And I know everybody's making lots of adjustments in their lives as we are here. We're glad that we are able to do this today and that you're able to join us. I've got a small crew safely here in the wildlife den helping to make this happen. Rick from Kestrel Imagery is on the camera. You may hear me refer to Rick when I need him. And Jess Vangenhoven is also here. She's manning the computer. So we're going to be communicating with each other. We're going to be real informal about this. This is a first run for us. So I really appreciate your patience with us, and I really appreciate your participation in the Coffee with the Birds program. Needless to say, Rick, can you put me full screen? Because I want to make sure that everybody has coffee and donuts ready to go, even if we're apart. This is a part of Coffee with the Birds. Drinking coffee and eating donuts. So cheers to all of you out there. Sorry we can't see you. Sorry we can't be in person, but I'm glad that you could join us this way. So first of all, what is Coffee with the Birds? Coffee with the Birds is an informal time to enjoy coffee, pastries, birds, and community. The birding community is a big community. There's people who just enjoy birds at their backyard feeders. There's people who have been birding around the world for all of their lives. And we all come together and enjoy birds together. Birds at the feeder. During a time when it's cold outside, we like to sit inside, stay warm, enjoy coffee and donuts, and watch the birds and stay warm. So that's kind of what this is about. We watch the birds at the feeder. We identify the birds, talk about them, their identification features, habits, things like that of the birds that we're seeing at the feeder. But we also usually have it open to, we always have it open to informal discussion and questions that everybody can take part in. So this being a first step of being live streaming, we took questions prior to today. And so I've got those questions and I've got some resources to give all of you when we talk about those questions, and we'll get to that in a little bit. But we're going to discuss bird topics. Any curiosities, stories, questions. And if you do have responses to any of those today while we're live, feel free to put them in the comments. Jessica is on the comments over there, and if you want to add something to that, please do, and we'll do our best to incorporate your comments in on the discussion as well. Also, we do a birding tidbits presentation, and today, as we've done, this is the third annual. It's a little bit different. It's not so much a presentation that I give on birds, but it is a series of presentations given by local bird clubs. So it's the local bird club Expo today. And we've done this 3 years in a row. This year we asked for video submissions from each of the clubs, and so we'll be playing those probably toward the end of our program today. And so thank you to the clubs out there for doing that, for submitting their videos, so that you can participate. Hopefully you can gain some information on a local bird club near you and get involved. Even with COVID going on out there, there are ways that you can get involved. Also, Coffee with the Birds is made possible by sponsors like you. And I will mention that first. The Coffee with the Birds Mug Club members. Thank you to our 2020 members. This was last year's mug right here with a winning photo by Blair Solano, ruby-throated hummingbird. This was given to all Mug Club members when they purchased it last year. And so this one is going to get set on the shelf in a prominent place, obviously, with the rest of mine. But this year has a new one, and we'll get to that in a moment. But I wanted to thank our sponsors. Through your sponsorship with buying a Mug Club membership, You help to feed the birds here at the feeder, and you help to sponsor this program, so thank you. Thank you also to Washtenaw Islands Audubon Society with their donations to help feed the birds. Friends of Ottawa County Parks has donated money to help us purchase hot drinks this year. So along with your mug, I'm not showing you the mug yet, but along with your mug will come a package of hot drinks, hot cider and hot chocolate. Because we can't give coupons for free drinks away this year because you can't come in person and to enjoy that, we're giving them to you. So this comes along with your mug this year with a 2021 Mug Club purchase. And so that's thanks to Friends of Ottawa County Parks. Tractor Supply has donated quite a few feeders. You can see them behind me here. This feeder will be a prize today with our drawing. And then there's another feeder over here that will go to our winner today of the photo contest, which we'll get to momentarily. Thank you also, and I can't thank him enough, to Kestrel Imagery. You can visit the website there on your screen. Kestrel Imagery is Rick Beldman, and he has been so gracious during COVID to Ottawa County Parks in donating his time to help us do the virtual bird walks that we did this spring. He helped put, well, he put those things together. He and I worked together to get those videos done. He did all the video work. So huge thanks to him for that. He also helped do some aerial footage for some other footage that you see of the Bend area recently with our new acquisitions. And now he is helping us live stream to you Coffee with the Birds. And we could not do this without him. So just a huge thanks. Raise your mugs to Kestrel Imagery for allowing us to do this today. Go ahead and switch it to the next slide there. We do need to start today's Coffee with the Birds on a little bit of a somber note. And this has been a somber year for everyone. And but I wanted to put a memorial tribute out there for a good birder, but more than that, a good friend to the birding community here in West Michigan and specific Ottawa County. This year we lost Lisa Ann Kasler. Many of you know her or knew her, and I have a little tribute that I'd like to read about Lisa, who passed away in October. It is with a heavy heart that I let everyone know about the passing of a good friend, birder, parks supporter, and volunteer. Lisa Kasler went missing over the weekend of October 17th. Authorities eventually located her body on Tuesday, October 20th, in the Huron-Manistee National Forest. She was out birding. Authorities believed that she succumbed to a medical emergency. She was 54 years old. As an Ottawa County employee, Lisa worked for Community Mental Health in Grand Haven for about 20 years. She found a love for the outdoors and birding through the Nature Center at Hemlock Crossing about 6 years ago. Since then, she had become a good friend of the Nature Center and many in the Ottawa County birding community. She encouraged many new birders, befriending and mentoring them. She regularly attended birding outings through the Nature Center and volunteered to help find snowy owls for participants of our annual Snowy Owl field trip programs. And I feel like a lot of you maybe know her through that. She was also an enthusiastic volunteer for Audubon Great Lakes in surveying for wetland birds in our parks and was an active board member of the Washtenaw Islands Audubon Society in Grand Haven. She will truly be missed by many. One of the things Lisa loved to do, if we can switch it to the next one there, Jess. One of the things Lisa loved to do was photograph the birds she saw. In fact, submitting this photo of an ovenbird to the contest was one of the last things that Lisa did. I thought it only appropriate to put this photo up first of all of the contestants in tribute to her. So thank you, Lisa, for impacting people for the love of birds. You will be missed. You can switch to the next. With that, I would like to transition into the Coffee with the Birds Mug Club Photo Contest for 2020. We had about 50 entries this year, and we had great quality photos this year. It was quite the process to choose photos with the panel of judges, but we have chosen some great photos, and we hope that you enjoy them this year. We know that we missed a few photos for the video this year, and for that, we want to say thank you for submitting them, and I'm truly sorry that they missed getting in on the video, and sorry for that oversight. But first, what we'd like to do is show you 4 honorable mention photos that we thought were definitely worthy of the honor of an honorable mention before we reveal the 5th photo, which is the winner of the contest this year. So our first honorable mention goes to Doug Kuiper for his beautiful photo of a Cooper's hawk taken near Quincy Park in Holland on May 2nd, 2020. He's kind of sitting there regally overlooking the landscape, looking for any birds that he could capture. But a very good shot of a Cooper's hawk. Next, our second honorable mention goes to Martin Blanchard. Thank you for your submission of this green heron, beautifully posed on one leg at East End Park in Grand Haven on July 28th of 2020. What a nice shot. Hard to get a nice shot of these guys, unobscured, doing what they like to do along the edges of our waterways, but a beautiful shot. Thank you for your submission. Next. Chris Sprick, thank you also for your honorable mention, or for your entry here, receiving an honorable mention award of a barred owl in Park Township. This is such a crisp and clean picture of an owl in daytime. Such an unusual thing to get to see, but I'm glad you had that experience, and I'm glad that you shared it with us with this photo. And our final honorable mention goes to Judy Manning with this picture of a marsh wren singing from cattail in Spring Lake in June of 2020. Truly a nice capture, a nice pose of the bird, and obviously it's always a treat to capture a bird in song in the photo. So thank you to Judy for your submission. With that, kind of leads to this big moment. And can I have a drum roll, please, from my crew here? Drum roll, because this year's winner of the 2020 Mug Club Photo Contest is Emily Tornga for her beautiful shot of a tufted titmouse in light snow. Congratulations, Emily. So happy for you. Thank you for your submission. And if you are watching right now, please post a reaction in the video comments, and we'll try to put that on air here after you post your reaction. So with that, enjoy the photo there for a moment, and then I'm going to move over to this stack right here, because that is our Mug Club mugs. And so I'm going to unveil the 2020 Mug Club membership mug to you right now. There they are. And I'm going to take and bring one up a little closer to the camera for you. See if I can get this right. There's Emily's photo. Coffee with the Birds Mug Club for 2021. And it's a full wraparound mug with a blue center. Again, congratulations to Emily. Your beautiful photo looks really good on this new 2020 mug. And with that, no better way to, I guess I got to move myself to the right seat here. See, we're totally informal. There we go. With that, cheers to Emily. And hopefully we get to see some tufted titmouses today at the feeders. I got to get my place again here and see what I need to do next. You know, can you actually put up the Mug Club membership slide? Go ahead, Rick. There we go. So if you would like to participate, if you have not already, thank you to the 30+ people who have already purchased their Mug Club memberships. That means there's only 70 left, even before the first event. So if you would like to get your Mug Club mug and join the membership, you can visit the website on your screen there to get more information. There's also a link in the description. There's also a link on the Coffee with the Birds information website that you may be viewing this video through. So you can get all of your information through there. Also, if you are on the birding update email list, I will continue emailing information out as necessary to that email list. If you would like to join that, you can scroll down to the bottom of the information website there, and you should have a link that takes you to the birding update email list, and you can join there. Yes.
Is it titmice or titmouses?
Jessica asks the first question of the day. Is it titmice or titmouses? And it actually is technically titmouses. Yeah, that is the true correct pronunciation of the plural of titmouse, titmouses, although you'll probably hear me saying titmice just because it's a little easier to say. Good question. Thank you. So a little bit about the Mug Club and about Emily's prize package first. Emily's prize package includes a mug and membership, a bird pin. You'll see the pins up here, and actually I can turn this now. There we go, so you see that. But these bird pins right over here, she'll get a choice of bird pins. She'll have a bird feeder, which I showed you a few minutes ago. And she'll be able to help schedule fall and spring memberships only bird walks, as well as getting a free birding field trip, all-day field trip. So congratulations to Emily. Thank you for your entry and making for a beautiful mug. If you would like to join, again, the website is on the screen there. Things that you would get from your membership include the limited edition mug with photo contest winner on it, 10 hot chocolate and hot cider packets for use at home, an event reminder magnet, which I've got right here. This little event reminder magnet has the dates on it. You can put it on your fridge to remind you when the next Coffee with the Birds event is this year. You get a membership card, a bird checklist for the state of Michigan, like this. So a few little goodies come in your mug. You also get entry into members-only door prize drawings for prizes including bird feeders and more. So if you joined the Mug Club before 8 o'clock this morning, as my email indicated, your name is in here, and at the end of the program today, we'll do a drawing for this bird feeder. So stay tuned for that. There we go. Also note that more perks may be coming in the future, so stay tuned. We're working with our typical sponsors, which includes DeBoer Bakery in Holland and Simpatico Coffee in Holland. They usually help donate the coffee and the goodies. We're working with them to see if we can get some discounts, some other donated prizes and things from them. And additional from Tractor Supply as well. So if you do visit those businesses, tell them that you do appreciate their sponsorship of their continued sponsorship of Coffee with the Birds, and hopefully we can have some good news on that in the near future. Note that if you order your mug, that in order to pick up the mugs, we have set up a safe way to do that here at the Nature Center, but you will need to, once you purchase your mug, you'll need to schedule yourself with the link that is in your email. You'll get an email once you register, or once you buy your membership, you'll get an email. There'll be links in that email to help you to sign up for a date to come pick up your mug. We need to be in person here and handing them out. You'll drive up to the Nature Center and somebody will come. You'll sign up for a slot and somebody will come bring your mug and goodies out to you. It's too late to sign up for this weekend, but there is also the first weekend in January. That's right after January 1st. It's January, is it 2nd and 3rd? I think it is, 2nd and 3rd. There are slots available for then, and we're also going to see if we can add a few dates between now and January as well, so that people can pick up their mugs. Last but not least, I want to mention one more time, join the birding update email list with the link at the bottom of the Coffee with the Birds information webpage. So it's the page that you're probably viewing this program through, if you followed the links in my emails. And so if you scroll down to the bottom of that web page, once this program is over, you can click on that to get regular bird and enter your email address to get regular bird-related newsletter emails and information. So would love to have you join that email list. Now, what did we all gather for? Not only is it coffee and donuts, but we're also joining for the birds. And so Rick, oh, you've already done it. Look at that. We've got the bird feeders up for you out there. And Rick, whenever you have something to show us, please do, and I'll explain as necessary how this is going to work. We've got a male downy woodpecker on our number 5 suet feeder right in front of the window. We know it's a male because it has a red patch on the back of its head. The females do not have a red patch on the back of their head. There's a lot of activity at the feeders right now, and the way we're going to work this is, instead of me pointing out everything, it's a little harder to turn a camera and focus it than to turn ahead with your binoculars and look. So when I call out, oh, there's a titmouse on number 3, it's easier for you to do that if you're in person, but it's a little harder for Rick, and we're going to be gracious to Rick. And what he's going to do is he's going to pick out a bird that's on a feeder and put it up on the screen, and I'll tell you about it. And if I don't seem to realize that you put a bird up on the screen, just give me a holler, okay, Rick? We're real informal about this. You know that this program is informal, and we're going to keep to that, even though we're in a little bit more of a formal setting here online, live. So whenever we don't have a specific bird to look at, then we'll go to the wide screen here of the feeders, and you can see the birds coming and going, and also the squirrels gorging themselves down below. And if you want to, at any time, Rick, just put it on maybe like number 1 or number 4 and watch the birds coming and going. The ones that don't sit still, feel free to do that at any time too. So that's kind of how we're going to work this. And while Rick is working the camera and showing some of the birds at the feeder, I have some pre-submitted questions that were given, that I requested, and I got some pre-submitted questions from people, and I did a little research and got some good answers and some information to share with you all. But if you have any additional comments or questions related to any of these things that I'm talking about, please feel free to bring that up. The one thing that's a little different right now with Coffee with the Birds is that it's a little less two-way. It's nice to have those conversations and have those questions live with you. For the first try at this live stream, we wanted to have some questions ahead of time and share some resources, but we're going to try to do as best as we can to answer any comments that you might have during the video. We might not be able to get to everybody, but we'll do our best. So enjoy watching the birds at the feeder, and I'm going to look through my notes here to a first topic to talk about, unless you interrupt me, Rick, which is a good thing because we always interrupt for the birds. That's what I like to say. Always interrupt for the birds. Yep, at number 5 we do have a hairy woodpecker, but no stress. So there's a downy woodpecker over there on number 3 going for the black oil sunflower seeds. There it goes. And if you look on the widescreen, you'll see that feeder right up close, number 5, on the back side is a hairy woodpecker. I played a trick on him. Oh, and he didn't like that trick. He flew off. I put a little backing on the suet there to kind of force them to come around to the front side of the suet rather than stay on the back side, which they like to do. He didn't like that. He flew off. He's over above number 10 to the left of number 6 there, up on the, he's perched real nice. So the hairy woodpecker is the equivalent of the downy, only 2 inches larger. There he is. Oh, he's dropped down to number 10 now. He's 2 inches larger. This is a male hairy woodpecker. The identification features are virtually identical. The plumage is virtually identical to the hairy or to the downy woodpecker, but they're fooling with you, Rick. They're bouncing around and not holding still. Rick is doing a great job over here. It takes a lot of patience to do this, but the hairy woodpecker is the larger of the two, downy and hairy. And there's not a whole lot of difference other than 2 inches of size difference and a much larger beak on the hairy woodpecker. There is also another red-bellied woodpecker that came in right where the hairy was. I think Rick's working on that one. You can see him coming into the number 10 feeder in the background there. There he is, a male red-bellied woodpecker, often called a red-headed woodpecker, but even though they have red on the head, it's not a fully red head. You see a lot of gray on the face and the neck. There is a red-headed woodpecker that exists, but its head is entirely red, not just a mohawk like this guy has. The male has red all the way down from its beak, all the way to the nape of its neck. The female has red only from the top of its head or the back of its forehead back to the nape and has a gray forehead. So you can tell the male and female red-bellied woodpeckers apart. They're also very striking with their black and white stripes on the back. The hairy woodpecker's trying to get in too, but I think that red-bellied is a little bigger and gonna keep his place there on number 10. Let's hope that they come into number 5. I hope that my little method doesn't deter them too much. Birds that I'm seeing at the feeders right now, of course, we've got downy, hairy, and red-bellied woodpecker. Right off the bat, we've got all 3 woodpecker species, so that's really great. We've been getting tufted titmice. There's a cardinal on the ground over at number 8 right now, which they come and go. They're not as regular of a feeder visitor, so I think Rick is working on that one. And around the cardinal on the ground, oh, and there he just flew. When you point a camera at something, you know the rules. The birds fly away. Any bird photographer or videographer knows that. There's a female cardinal there too on the ground of number 8. So the little gray, charcoal gray birds with the white belly, they're the dark-eyed juncos. They're on the ground. We've had tufted titmice, black-capped chickadee, and white-breasted nuthatch as well. And thank you, Jessica, behind us. Say hi, Jess. She is writing down very quickly all of the birds that I'm mentioning. Red-bellied woodpecker, cardinal, tufted titmouse, white-breasted nuthatch. There's a mourning dove on the ground down over here too, to the left of number 8. So we've got a good variety of birds, and as we get opportunity, Rick will get them up on the screen. Oh, there's a downy and hairy at the same time. Did you catch that for just a moment? There was a downy and a hairy at the same time. Good work on that, Rick. That's the hairy on the backside there. Maybe keep it on there. See if the downy comes back. There's a titmouse and a nuthatch visiting, so there's a lot of activity going on. And actually, one additional species there, Jess, American goldfinches over on number 8. So these are some of the birds that you may be seeing as Rick is able to pull them up. I just wanted to get them out there for you all to know kind of what's visiting the feeders before we can even get them all on the screen. So that's already 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 species just right off the bat. So excellent birding here. Hopefully you are seeing some birds at your feeders. And if you are watching your own feeders at the same time, put in the comments what birds you're seeing at your feeder. We'd love to hear what birds you're seeing. Please share with us if you can. I'm going to take a look with my binoculars here a minute, see if there's anything lurking out in the brush before moving on to any other discussion topics. This is usually what we do. We like to clear the air with what birds are currently visiting the feeders and then we'll go on to discuss questions and things afterwards. But you know that this train here gets derailed often because birds take priority. So if we're talking about something and a bird pops up on the screen, we're going to talk about that bird, and I only have 2 people now to help me get this train back on track when we're talking about a certain topic, but they'll do their best to keep me on track. You guys often help me out to get back on track with the questions that I'm answering that get interrupted, but we'll do our best to answer them fully. So Cardinal is back on the ground there. Oh, you got the Cardinal and dark-eyed Junco. The Junco's going to the back. The female Cardinal's in the front there. The Junco in the back is actually looking like what's called a Sismontanus, or maybe a combination of a dark-eyed Junco and also an Oregon Junco. You can see the little ring around his neck. You maybe could see the little ring around his neck. He's still there, but if he comes back in the picture, you notice the little ring around the neck, where there's the back color is a little different than the head color. That means he's probably got some genes in his blood from a western species or a western subspecies called the Oregon Junco. And this is a Cassier's Junco is kind of how they're often referred to. But we see them on occasion, not real often, so it's kind of a notable visitor to the feeders. And take a look at the other Juncos when they come by. You'll notice that they won't have that ring around their neck. They're more uniform in color. The other one that's sitting right there under the feeder is a more uniform in color Junco. So pretty neat to get to see that right off the bat. We've got about 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5 Juncos underneath the feeder over there. So there's a little flock of them. Hard to show that, but if you watch the widescreen, you maybe see them flittering around a bit. Can't forget to take a drink. Jess has a question over here.
There seems to be more American goldfinch than house finches. Is that normal?
More house finches and American goldfinches. Well, when it comes to finches in general, this is a good lead-in question, so thank you, Lonnie. But when it comes to finches in general, their numbers fluctuate quite a bit, not necessarily in population, but in location. So some years we'll get lots of goldfinches at our feeders. Other years they'll be sparse. Typically in years where we get a lot of pine siskins, we'll see a lot less goldfinches. Maybe that's because they're in competition for food resources. This year I've seen just a few goldfinches around, not a whole lot here, but maybe at your feeders it's a little bit different. So it can actually be a regional thing too, even regional within West Michigan. You know, what's your neighborhood like this year? Maybe there's a food resource nearby, or maybe there's a lack of food resource nearby for your birds, and so they're coming to your feeders more regularly. So it's a little bit of a hard thing to nail to the wall, but their numbers can fluctuate at your feeders from year to year. With house finches, it is kind of a population thing. They've got a low genetic diversity thing going on with our eastern population, and so I think that impacts their health, and they often get disease such as conjunctivitis in their eyes and things, and those diseases can impact their population sometimes. So there's our Cassier's Junco in the picture there. You can see the brown back and the gray head, very distinct ring around the neck there. Oh, that's actually a really nice looking bird there, Cassier's Junco. So if you want to delve into the realm of birds and DNA, and you can see the Junco in the background. You see how it doesn't have that ring around its neck. You had both of them in the shot at the same time, Rick. Congrats, that was a nice shot. If you notice that other Junco didn't have that ring around its neck. You can see him off the right of the screen. So take a look at your own feeders. Maybe you've got slate-colored Junco, which is the typical solid slate gray colored Junco, or maybe you have a Cassier's Junco, or maybe even a true Oregon Junco. If it was a true Oregon Junco, it would be a black hood and a brown back, very distinct hooded look. So even more distinct than what this bird looks like. But thank you for getting that footage. That was excellent. Excellent. So I was talking about finches, wasn't I? I think I was talking about finches. So house finches, their population can fluctuate, and so some years we'll see a lot, some years we'll see none, probably related to the health of their population and disease and things like that. And little do people know that house finches are not a native to eastern North America. They were transplanted to the east from California, actually. They escaped out of a pet shop in New York City and have spread all across the east and have only been in Michigan, I want to say the early 80s, early to mid 80s. So they are not a native, but they are not invasive either. They don't seem to be impacting populations of other birds. But with that, unless we get interrupted by good bird sightings out at the feeders, I would like to move into talking a little bit about finches, because we had some questions from a couple of different people about finches, and I'm going to read from my little script here. A curiosity from Will Anderson in Holland was, what's the deal with evening grosbeaks? What's an eruption, and is this normal? That came alongside of this question right here. So we'll get to eruption and things. And there's evening grosbeak in the upper right corner of the screen there, the male on the right, the female on the left. And then here's some other eruptive species that you could possibly see: pine siskin, white-winged and red crossbills, and common redpoll. By the way, all of these species have been seen in Ottawa County already this fall. Incredible year. So Cindy adds, I was delighted to see evening grosbeaks on Harbor Island and then at feeders near Grand Haven. Seeing 40 to 50 of these gorgeous birds descend on the platform feeders and the ground around them and hearing their raucous calls was memorable. I'm interested to know more about the Ottawa County history of these eruptions of evening grosbeaks, redpolls, and crossbills. I'm hoping to see all of these rare visitors this year. I definitely plan to add a platform feeder to my yard options. And that last little comment, by the way, platform feeders tend to be a favorite of evening grosbeaks. So if you want evening grosbeaks, it's platform feeders with black oil sunflower seed, like our #1 feeder right here. We've got a new platform feeder. It even has a cover on the top of it to keep the seed from weathering. So first of all, what is an eruption? An eruption, as defined by the Cornell Lab of Ornithology, is the sudden change in the population density of an organism. Wow. Well, when speaking of birds, eruptions refer to the movement of northern wintering species to the south in years of low food availability. Now, that low food availability is a little bit of a misnomer, but eruptive species do include redpolls, evening grosbeaks, red-breasted nuthatch, among others. And so to answer your question, Will, is it normal? Yes. But there's a no to that as well. So is it normal for these eruptions to occur on occasion? Yes. Is it normal for it to occur every year? No. So it's not a normal every year event, especially for evening grosbeaks, which haven't shown up in numbers like what we're seeing this year in probably over 30 years. So that kind of gets to some of the question that Cindy had about the history. Evening grosbeaks had an eruption in the 70s and then again in the 80s for a few different winters in a row. There were flocks of them around, but they have in large part not been seen in West Michigan since the mid-1980s. In 2018, there were a few that trickled in. I was fortunate to have a couple of flyovers, but they weren't showing up in large numbers. So they were here, but maybe they were indicating that something was coming in 2020. So if there's anything positive about 2020, it is that we do have evening grosbeaks in the area. And please let us know in the comments if you have seen evening grosbeaks at your feeders. That would be great to hear. Where should they look for them? At feeders. Jess was asking, where do you look for evening grosbeaks? The best place to look for them is actually at your feeders. They're very nomadic, and they'll move around to where the food is, and they usually move around in flocks. Sometimes you'll see single birds, but one of the flocks that came to this county, as Cindy said, was 40 to 50 birds. So keep an eye out, especially toward the lakeshore, but there have also been sightings inland and in Kent County as well. So keep an eye out. They're definitely not at every feeder, and they are extremely notable at anybody's feeder right now, but there are more in the area than there have been in probably 30 years. So now is your best chance to see them in our area. So get out and check your feeders and see if you've been getting evening grosbeaks. And again, we'd love to hear from you if you have been seeing them yourselves. The other species on your screen, like common redpoll, have had eruption events as well. They're not always timed the same as evening grosbeak, but this year we're having an eruption of common redpolls as well. I've seen quite a few large flocks. One of my last bird walk here in November, on the 21st of November, right here at Hemlock Crossing, we saw a flock of about 60 birds fly over. They didn't land. We saw another flock land for just a moment and then leave, but they are around as well. In 1997 and 98, we had an eruption. Then in 2012 and 2013, we had a larger eruption. There have been limited sightings here and there since 2013. In 2014, 15, 18, and 19, there were limited sightings, so not a huge eruption year. But now this year is looking to be an eruption. So the little goldfinch-sized, or even smaller than a goldfinch, common redpoll, watch for it at your finch feeders or on the ground. They like to feed on platforms as well. Make sure your finch feeders are full and with good fresh seed, and maybe you will get a common redpoll. Always let us know here at the Nature Center if you do see redpolls or if you're seeing evening grosbeaks. Feel free to let us know. You can email us at naturecenter@miottawa.org, and we'd love to hear from you. The other species on the screen, just to wrap it up, white-winged and red crossbills, they seem to be a lot harder to come by, even when they have eruptions. Now, the white-winged crossbill in 2008 and 2009, that winter, we had a huge white-winged crossbill eruption, but you wouldn't have seen them unless you knew where to go. And they like large patches of Norway spruce when they're in our area. This year, one has been seen at somebody's feeder near Borculo. So they could be in the area. There are 2 males being seen at a feeder in Rockford right now as well. So they're in the area. Be on the lookout for white-winged crossbill. You can see the photo there by Lonnie Garris. That is the bird that was seen this year at Lonnie's feeder. So that is the female. That's kind of a yellowish-green tinge color. The males do have red. They're red, like the red crossbill on the right. The red crossbill on the right lacks the white wing patches, but they both have a crisscrossed bill, which helps them to open tightly sealed spruce cones. And so really not a mistake that those bills are crossed that way. They actually help them open their seeds. I need a drink. And red crossbills kind of had an invasion in 2012, and again in 2018 there were a few around, but again they were much harder to come by. So an eruption of red crossbills is a few birds here and there, and they're very nomadic as well. A lot of these finches are very nomadic in nature, so they don't hang around in one area, and they're not necessarily widespread at everybody's feeder or every place that there's a Norway spruce or things like that. So you kind of gotta happen upon them. We were lucky on that walk on the 21st of November when we saw the redpolls that we also had a single flyover red crossbill. So they are also in the area. So keep a watch out for them. If you want to learn what their call notes sound like, go onto the Cornell website, or if you just Google search red crossbill, the first thing that comes up in your search engine will be the Cornell All About Birds website. Click on that and play some of the sounds. It's important if you want to find one of these to know their call notes. So become familiar with that. And pine siskins, the last one. We had quite a few pine siskins around earlier this fall. They seem to have kind of disappeared. They may still be around, but watch your finch feeders for these little streaky finches. They're about the size of a goldfinch, but they're much streakier, and they have yellow in the wings and in the tail. They're a little bit more of a regular eruption. We typically get them every year, and it's a little notable when we don't have them, but their numbers can fluctuate a lot each year. All right. You know what? I'm realizing we might not get to all these questions. Are we seeing some birds at the feeders? We got the downy woodpecker on number 5. Feel free to take, you can take it off of the screen there. And feel free to take it off of there whenever you see a bird, Rick. So Emily did respond, and she said she's super excited to be the winner of the 2020 photo contest and to be on the 2021 Mug Club mug. We're super excited for you, Emily, and I believe you are. If you're signed up to pick up your mug today or later, I'll have your prizes ready for you as well. If your mug is brought out to you and you don't have your prizes, ask them for your prizes, because I may still be here. I'm going to try to get those prizes ready for you, so when you come pick up your mug, you can get them. But congratulations. There it was. Good timing on that, Rick. There was a tufted titmouse that came to the #1 feeder. That was good timing. We're talking about tufted titmouse on the mug, and we get a tufted titmouse at the feeder. So excellent, excellent. I'm going to move on. And again, interrupt me anytime. Seems like the feeders have kind of slowed down a little bit. Feel free to get a squirrel in there if ever you want. Throw something else up on there other than just me. Oh, one thing I did want to mention is that if you want to learn more about the evening grosbeak eruption, and I know I'm spending a lot of time on that, but it's because it's kind of the hot news of the birding world right now, evening grosbeaks and the finch eruption of 2020. If you want to learn more, especially about the evening grosbeaks, there's a great video by Leslie the Bird Nerd. Yes, that's her YouTube name, Leslie the Bird Nerd. There it is up on your screen. Evening grosbeak eruption. There's a link in the description, but also on the event discussion resources page, which I'll send a link out to you for. There's also a link in the description of this video that will take you to a place, to a website, to a blog site that has all of the links for any of the discussion topics that we talk about today, and maybe even some links to some discussion topics that we didn't even get to today. I just put them all on there, and you can find a link to that video there, and it's, I think, a little less than 10 minutes, and she goes into depth about evening grosbeak, so it's a great watch. Thank you. You can switch that off. I'm realizing I haven't taken a nice bite of my donut. So while I'm taking a nice bite of my donut, we'll just watch the birds at the feeder, see what's going on. A hairy woodpecker and a cardinal out there. If there's a particular bird you would like to see on camera, you can let us know. We'll do our best to get every bird that we're seeing at the feeder up there. But again, birds have wings, they fly. And when cameras are pointed at them, they have a particular way of knowing it, and they like to fly. So Rick is doing a great job, though. Thank you, Rick. Again, feel free if you want. There's quite a bit of traffic at like #4 or #1. Chickadees keep coming there. There's also a goldfinch and a cardinal on #8. So there is traffic, but they're moving. So there's some birds, like the tufted titmouse, the white-breasted nuthatch, the black-capped chickadee. They come to the feeders like it's a drive-through. They come, they grab something, and they go, and they sit on a branch somewhere else to eat it. There are other birds that like to just sit and eat and eat and eat. Like the finches typically will do that. The cardinals as well will often do that. The dark-eyed juncos on the ground will just sit there and eat as well. So different birds have different ways of eating. There's a dark-eyed junco. You see they just gorge themselves on the ground. They don't just take one seed and fly off. They just sit there and keep gorging. It makes it a little easier for viewing these guys as opposed to the chickadees and nuthatches and titmice, which they're constantly coming back and forth, but not easy to catch. I did want to address one question, and you don't have to put it up on the screen right away, but whenever is fine. There was a question from Chris Nelson of Grand Haven Township. She said, over the years, we've had an occasional cardinal pecking at our windows. This year, however, we've had what we call a COVID cardinal pecking incessantly on our front and back windows, and very annoyingly sits right next to the rear view mirrors of any vehicle parked in the driveway and leaves many droppings on the cars. It stopped doing these things at the end of the summer and into the fall, but has just recently started up again. Is this unusual for a cardinal to be doing this in November? Well, first of all, and Jess, whenever you have that pulled up, and if you want to put that up on the screen, Rick, whenever there's not enough bird traffic, there you go. Why do they do it? Why? Typically in the spring, a male will do this behavior because they see a rival male in their territory. They don't know the difference between a mirror and a real bird. So they'll typically start by singing to try to ward it off, but obviously that doesn't scare a reflection. So then they start attacking it, and the attacking doesn't even stop the reflection. So a bird can get into a pattern of behavior like this. And really, I've got some links and information in the description so you can look up some more information on it, but really the best way to deter a bird from doing this is to take away the reflective surface. So cover up your mirrors, put something in front of your windows, reduce the reflective nature of what they're going after, and that will hopefully abate the problem. Now, to your question specifically, is it unusual for it to happen in the fall? Yeah, it is a little more unusual to happen in the fall. Typically in the fall, birds are less territorial. They're not chasing each other around. So why it's doing it, it's a little hard to know unless it's being very territorial to its feeding zone. Like it doesn't want to share maybe a local feeder or something like that and feels like it's threatened. So it is a little more unusual for that to happen in the fall as opposed to the spring. Hopefully the resources in the description below and on the discussion information page, the discussion resources page that links to can help you out with that as well. Yes. Aha, you know what? That question comes in at a good time because I did receive a question about Carolina wrens. So the question is, are Carolina wrens more common in the winter time? And the answer is yes and no. I say that a lot, right? So there's always nuances to it. So somebody asked the question, are they more common in the winter time? Well, two people submitted a couple of sightings and questions about Carolina wrens. Byron Stone noted that several people have been seeing a Carolina wren near Pigeon Lake, and Dave Reif of Birmingham and Spring Lake, Michigan, wrote, I recently saw a pair of Carolina wrens. I see them only rarely given we are on the northern edge of their range. Can you share your local experience with Carolina wrens? These are one of my favorites, and I wish I could see them more often. So the quick answer is they are becoming more common in general. They are a resident species wherever they are. So they're not a migratory species, and their range has been moving from the southeastern United States. And if you pull that picture up there real quick, you can see there's a map for, do you have that one pulled up there, Jess? The Carolina wren? There's a Carolina wren slide. So let Rick know when you've got that pulled up, and then, okay. So there's the range of the Carolina wren, and you can see that well, if we had a range map from 10 or 20 years ago, it might look a little different, where that line to the northwest side would be reduced back down into Ohio and such. But in more recent years, over the last 20 years, they've become more common here in Michigan. So their range is expanding as climate is changing. And I see that firsthand with bird species, and this is one of the ones that I highlight with that their population has definitely been increasing in recent years here. Now, to the question of How common? Well, they're not so common that they're in everybody's backyard. And we've got goldfinches on number 4 over there too, Rick. And you can take it off of this whenever you want. They're not so common that they're in everybody's backyard, but so they're a very notable and unusual species to find, but they've become very widespread. I've run into 2 actually in the last, 2-3 weeks, which is notable for myself even, but you usually got to know where to find them. And so in their population in our area tends to fluctuate a little bit depending on the severity of winters. So if we get really severe winters, there's a goldfinch on the feeder over there. That's a winter plumaged male. You can see the yellow in the face. They maintain some of their yellow, but they lose most of their bright golden yellow colors. So that is a male. The female looks duller than that even, with very little yellow, if any at all. But they have the black wings with the white markings, so that's a good way to identify them as well. But they look very different from the spring. So back to Carolina wren. They are around, but they're notable and can be hard to find. Are they more common in the winter? I think they're sometimes more commonly seen in the winter. Now, if you know the sound, it's a little different. If you know the sound, you might be hearing them in the springtime and recognizing it. But as far as seeing them come to your feeders, yes, they will be more commonly seen at your feeders in the winter. There, a nice shot of the squirrel. They're a member of the bird feeder community as well. We can't forget about the squirrels. Cute guy there, a little gray squirrel. He's on the ground where he belongs, not up on the feeders. So they get hungry in the Carolina wrens. Yeah, the squirrels get hungry too. The Carolina wrens get hungry in the wintertime because they're insectivorous. They typically like mostly insects, and so then they're drawn particularly to suet feeders. As you saw in that picture that we had pulled up there, they will come to suet feeders in the wintertime. So yes, they are more commonly seen in the winter, but it doesn't necessarily mean that they're more common in our area, like they're moving into our area in the winter. It's just a matter of when you see them. So very good question. Hopefully that has helped give you some good information about Carolina wrens. We got 2 goldfinches on number 4 over there. As soon as you get the camera on it, they're going to fly though, right, Rick? Oh, is it kind of blocked? Okay. And he's got a camera that's in one spot. And so we tried to pick out as perfect a spot as we could to place the camera so that he could sit and do his switchboard as well, which he's running the switchboard and the camera at the same time. So credit to Rick for doing a great job with both of those things. But you know, he can't move the camera around like we can walk around in this room. He is set in a fixed position, so he's able to see as much of the feeders as possible, but can't see everything. So the juncos seem to be the easy guys to get on. There you go. So the dark-eyed juncos there on the ground. Again, that's a good thing to note. Different birds will feed in different locations as well. So dark-eyed juncos like to be on the ground. They don't typically come up to your feeders, whereas the other birds like to go up to the feeders. Cardinals also like to feed on the ground, but will also come up to your feeders. While we're watching the juncos, I'm going to look at my list here and see if there's some other questions that we can answer. We've done that. I'm looking over my notes so that I keep straight on target with what things we wanted to talk about. Carolina wren. Oh, I think we can get through this. In the next few minutes, we're going to wrap this up and we're going to do some of the expo. But I would like to talk a little bit about the saw-whet owl. So, oh, Jess is. That's all right. If you can get that, Rick. We've got a picture of a saw-whet owl. Dave Reif of Birmingham, Michigan, says, hello. With the story of the saw-whet owl that was rescued from the Rockefeller Christmas tree recently, I was hoping you could fill us in on saw-whets in Michigan and perhaps where at least to hear them, if not see them. So as Dave mentioned, there was a saw-whet owl. Here's the screenshot from the video that was found in the Rockefeller Center, New York City Christmas tree when they brought it into downtown New York City. It was clinging to one of the branches. They must have missed it when they checked the tree over and wrapped it up to bring it to New York City. So they rescued this little saw-whet owl. That is a full-grown owl. That's all the larger they are. Very, very tiny. It's an adult owl there. They rescued it and brought it to a rehab center, and we're going to release it after it became better nourished, because it had been several days, without food in transit. So there's a video link in the description and in the discussion information page as well. So feel free to click that link and watch the video on NBC. It was on NBC News. Several of the networks picked it up. And there's a little piece on the rescued saw-whet owl. So to your question, Dave, where can you find them? Well, saw-whet owls are eruptive. Best we know, they're eruptive, just like finch species are too. So, but they're harder to detect because they're fully nocturnal and they don't vocalize a whole lot. So detecting them can be very, very hard. It can be happenstance to run across them, and you can take it off of the picture there. Put it back on the birds. It can be very hard to detect them. You have to happenstance run into one in the daytime in a very thick evergreen stand. But where they would show up would be heavily evergreen thickets. They like to roost in those evergreen thickets, and they do come to our area in the winter. They're eruptive to us in the winter. They don't breed in our area. They breed in the northern lower peninsula, but in particular in the upper peninsula, where they actually replaced the eastern screech owl, which eastern screech owl does not exist in the UP. The saw-whet owl is the most numerous owl up there in the upper peninsula, probably by a long shot, but very hard to detect because they're so small. So in the winter, they can erupt down into our area. Different years will have more than others, but I say more than others because they're extremely hard to detect. But your best chance is to go out at night and listen, but in evergreen areas, real thick, like hemlocks along the lakeshore, or spruce forests, things like that. But your chances of seeing one or hearing one are extremely low. They are here pretty much every winter, but very, very hard to come across. And sometimes it's just got to be sheer luck to come across one roosting in the daytime. And if you do run into a daytime roosting owl, any owl daytime roosting, please respect that owl more than your good photo of it or your good view of it. They're resting. They're trying to regain energy to get out at night and capture food and things for their own livelihood. So if you do run into a day roosting owl, keep your distance, keep your noise down. Try not to disturb that owl. But leave it alone. So thank you for your question, Dave. I can't give you exact coordinates on where an owl is. You just kind of got to get out there and run across one. I wish I could make that a little easier for you. I've got a couple other questions here, but I feel like we might have to save some of these. Thank you to several others of you who have submitted questions, but I'm seeing the time, and I'm liking to wrap this up because I don't want to hold you any longer than 11 o'clock. And this time has really flown for me. Yeah, ha ha ha. That was pun intended, right? The time has flown. Hopefully you've learned something new and had a good time enjoying your coffee and your donut and seeing the reveal of this year's mug and the photo contest winner. Again, pick up your Mug Club membership online. We'd love for you to join us. And we're going to move into the Bird Club, local Bird Club Expo. So this is our birding tidbits segment here. And I've got 4 short videos. They're all about 2 minutes or less. And we're going to run through each of the 4 of these videos of local bird clubs and how they're adapting to COVID, what they're all about, and how you can get involved. 2 of them, the Washtenaw Islands and the Muskegon Nature Club, videos. There are longer versions of the videos that you can access in the comments here of this or in the other event discussion resources page. They have about a 5 or 6 minute video as well. These are all going to be 2 minutes or less. I had to cut it for just time's sake here. But we're going to start with information from the Awashtenong Islands Audubon Club, and Michael Lombardo will be telling us a little bit about their club. So if we can cue that up and ready to go, we're going to try to do this the best that we can. And just hold with us. You can cut my audio.
Welcome to the 2020 Coffee with Birds program sponsored by Ottawa County Parks, and welcome to the 32nd season of the Awashtenong Islands Audubon Society. My name is Michael Lombardo, and I am the president of OIAS. OIAS is a branch of Michigan Audubon Society and primarily serves the communities of Grand Haven, Spring Lake, and Ferrysburg. We take our name from the Native American name for the Grand River. We provide stewardship of local Grand River Island wildlife sanctuaries owned by Michigan Audubon Society. We achieve through education public recognition of the value and need for protecting and preserving wildlife, plants, soil, water, and other natural resources, as well as an understanding of their interdependence. We also promote an interest in our native birds and as well as our native flora and fauna and their habitats because of their great economic, cultural, and recreational value. And we aid Michigan Audubon Society in its study, conservation, and research efforts. We have several educational programs scheduled for 2021. We offer these programs as Zoom meetings and provide instructions for joining the meeting so anyone with a smartphone or computer can join. Our newsletter contains articles about birds and nature, book reviews, and club news. OIAS offers several activities in addition to our educational programs. We have seasonal field trips in November and May. We participate in the Christmas bird count. We participate in Earth Day 2021. And we also participate in citizen science projects with Michigan Audubon Society. This year, the Christmas bird count is scheduled for the 19th of December. If you are interested in participating, please contact Carl Manning at the address given on the screen, oias@oias.org. Finally, if you are interested in nature, please consider joining OIAS and supporting its mission and its activities. Membership is inexpensive and the benefits are large. You can visit OIAS at our homepage, www.oias.org, and you can find us on Facebook. Thank you for your attention, good birding, and stay well.
Hello, I'm Rick Pedler, president of the Muskegon County Nature Club. You may notice that the word Audubon does not appear in our club name, but we are the official Muskegon County chapter of the Michigan Audubon Society. We have been involved in a number of things, and I'm going to talk first of all about the pre-COVID things, and then near the end I'll tell you how things have changed with the COVID situation. Our dues are $20 per year per member. That includes a monthly newsletter. We have local field trips every month. We're a friendly group of people, and I think that you would enjoy going on those if you care to. We conduct normally 7 meetings per year, 7 monthly meetings on the 3rd Thursday of each month for 7 months, the months September through November and the months January through May. Now, post-COVID, things are a little bit different. We have conducted no meetings since COVID began, and I don't see us conducting any meetings for the foreseeable future. We are not charging any dues this year. We do have a brief online newsletter for our members. Our field trips so far, some have been canceled, some we have held with social distancing, but you'd have to check on our homepage to find out whether we're going to be doing a field trip or not. Regarding contact information, the best way to contact us would be to contact me by email. My email address is oakridge35@yahoo.com. That's Oak Ridge, all one word, OAKRIDGE with the digits 35 at yahoo.com. And that's because I happen to have taught for 35 years in the Oak Ridge Public School District. You can also find us at two websites. We have two interlocking websites that link back and forth to each other. One is our homepage, which is Muskegon Nature at blogspot.com, and our recent sightings page, which is updated 2 or 3 times per week, and more if necessary, regarding recent sightings in Muskegon, and that is Muskegon Bird Blog at blogspot.com. Those addresses are hard to remember. The easiest way probably to find us with a computer or a smartphone is just go to Google or any search engine. If you just put in Muskegon Audubon, our club's homepage will be the first hit you get. Hopefully this little video has helped you to understand our club a little bit better. I hope that we see you sometime in the field. Stay healthy.
Hi, I'm Scott Hutchins. I'm currently president of the Grand Rapids Audubon Club. We normally meet at Aquinas College in Donnelly Hall 8 times a year for a presentation on birds or other nature topics. We have field trips year-round starting at 6 a.m. on January 1st to look for owls. We have special events including the spring migration count, the Christmas count, and our Birdathon fundraiser. And we participate in other groups' events in the area, like providing trail guides for the Middleville Woodpecker Festival. We also maintain the Maher Nature Center in southeast of Grand Rapids. Of course, we've had to adapt to the pandemic. We have a no contact plan for the Christmas bird count, and November 30th, we're having our first online nature program over Zoom. Justin Helsinga, Stewardship Director for the Land Conservancy of West Michigan, will be speaking on restoring urban nature, lessons from the highlands. We don't meet in December, but we plan on having online presentations January through May. The links will be available on our website. Just type Grand Rapids Audubon Club into your search engine. That's also how to find out about our field trips. Right now, we're having weekly hikes at Millennium Park on the southwest side of Grand Rapids through its wide variety of riparian forest, wetland, and grassland habitats. We meet at the park, wear masks, keep the group small. If more than 6 people show up, we just split into 2 groups. Using that as a model, we're going to expand our outings in the spring. A member has volunteered to lead trips to Southwest County in March, and I'm planning on doing the same here in the Northwest. Check our website for announcements and follow us on Facebook and Instagram. The birds are still out there, and with a little planning and caution, we can enjoy them and each other's company safely. Better days ahead.
The Holland Audubon Club typically meets at 7 p.m. on the second Tuesday of each month at Hope Church in Holland. However, due to the COVID-19 pandemic, all meetings and field trips have been canceled until further notice. If you would like to participate in the Holland Christmas bird count, typically held on the 2nd of January, contact DeGraff Nature Center. For more information on the Holland Audubon Club, visit their website at hollandaudubon.org.
Welcome back to the live stream here. Hopefully you enjoyed the Bird Club Expo, highlighting 4 bird clubs here in West Michigan, all around us. So if you're in the West Michigan area, there's a bird club nearby you, whether Grand Haven, Muskegon, Grand Rapids, or Holland, there are options for you. So please do get involved with those bird clubs to help you to enjoy the birds and be involved in conservation and citizen science as well. So thank you also to our bird clubs for your involvement in Coffee with the Birds today. Really appreciate that. And I hope that you can connect to some new members out there who are watching today. So please do. So we do have a little bit, we got about 10 more minutes. And in the last 5 minutes, I'm going to do the drawing for the prize, the door prize. But before that, I did want to acknowledge just a few of these questions. I got 5 minutes, I think. I'm going to try to fly through, like I said, some of these questions. we had a question online about the junco, right? Question online about the fuzzy feathers on the top of the junco, the wings of the junco. It may have been just some displaced feathers that you saw, just out of whack, where they would have to take their beak and preen that like a comb to get it to settle down. But the feathers on the top of a junco, oh, thank you, Rick, look at that, are called the coverts, the covert feathers. So there's, I can show you a picture right here too. Let's see if I can get you this picture right here. You can see the different lesser coverts, median coverts, and greater coverts on a bird. So those are the feathers on the wing. And the scapulars are up on the back here, and the mantle is this part right here. So depending on where you're talking about, we're going to get all scientific on you with the answer that maybe isn't what you intended. But those feathers are kind of a contour feather. They're not a functional feather necessarily, but they give contour and protection to the bird. Of course, the ones on the wing do help airflow over when they fly. Why it was a little fuzzier on the top, I'm not sure. It may have been just one out of place. But thank you for your question. Another question was bald eagles. Tom Visner from Wyoming said, I have been noticing more eagles in the area. Do you have updates on nests and eagles in the area? I don't have an update on specific numbers of nests in the area, other than to say that since in the last few years, research has gone down on eagles as they've been off of the endangered species list, and their numbers have been a whole lot higher. So I don't have the updated numbers of nests in our areas, but I do know that their population is on the rise, continuing to be on the rise. So there are nests along the Grand River, Millennium Park, and other areas along the Grand River. Grand Ravines Park has a Crockery Creek. I want to say that there's, guessing from the last numbers that I have, which is about 6 or 7 nests in Ottawa County, I'm guessing that there's more than that now. So there may be even up to 10 nests, but that's just a guess right now. And in the wintertime, we tend to see more eagles in general because we get the northern species, the northern birds migrating south and joining our resident eagles here. Our eagles are generally resident unless everything freezes up and they can't access fish for eating. So then they'll move further south. But we'll see them gathering at fishing holes when the ice forms on the lakes. Any open water is where they'll gather. You may see more of them through the winter time until March or so when the northern birds start to migrate north. So thank you for your question. Also, Michelle Richardson from Park Township asks, I've noticed far fewer birds at my feeder in the last month or so, despite cleaning the feeders regularly and keeping fresh seed in them. Has anyone else noticed this? So if anybody wants to comment to that in the comments, you're welcome to do that. But what I will say is that fall, September and October, and even into November, can be a little less busy at the feeders because there's an abundance of seeds and food resources out in the natural environment, and the cold temperatures haven't hit hard yet. So that their activity at the feeders tends to be less until we get colder weather. So hang in there. Maybe a little bit of cold weather, snow on the ground will draw the birds to your feeder a little bit more. But that's been my experience that earlier in the fall, you get less traffic. And I think we just have 1 or 2 more sightings that I'm going to share, and then we'll move on. I've got 1 more minute. So Pam Elvestepper from Fremont wrote about her experience with an eastern screech owl. So I want to read that with you. I just wanted to share the excitement of spotting an eastern screech owl. About a month ago, while walking in my city cemetery, I heard him or her first, then walked to find the bird perched in a bare tree. I stood underneath the owl for about 5 minutes before it flew away. This was my first time hearing an eastern screech owl and being rewarded by finding it. I try to walk in the cemetery several nights a week, and a few more times I've heard the little owl, but haven't spotted it since. It was an awesome first experience. I miss you all and hope everyone is well and safe. Well, thank you, Pam, for sharing your story about seeing an eastern screech owl. And we miss you too. We miss all of you. And can't wait to be together with all of you again too. Thank you for sharing your story of Eastern Screech Owl. And the last story, I think that I'll have gotten to everything. Wow. All right, is very short, but from Dave Reif. He asks it's Byron Stone from West Olive. He said, this is the time of year for eruptive species to arrive in West Michigan, the snowy owl. And Byron Stone of West Olive had the first Ottawa County sighting of the season recently when he saw a snowy owl fly out of the beach grass near the pier at Pigeon Lake. Keep lookout along the lakeshore, especially near piers, but also in open farm country around the county as well. Last year was a poor showing for snowy owls, so let's hope that this is a better year for them. So any open farm country lacking in trees, nice open areas, that's a good place to look. The farmlands outside of Zeeland, between Zeeland and West Olive, are a really good place. The farmlands over by Coopersville are good, but they also do follow the lakeshore in migration. So you may see them showing up in the rocks along a pier and things like that. There's been a couple of sightings here in Ottawa County this fall, but nothing sticking. So keep your eyes peeled and let us know if you find a snowy owl. We do have snowy owl programs coming up in January, so we're hoping that they show up and that we can maybe get to see some snowy owls for the program. So thank you for sharing your sighting, Byron, of the snowy owl. And with that, I think I've gotten through all of the questions, the pre-submitted questions that I had, and all the questions that we had online. So thank you so much for participating, but we're not done yet, because you may know how we usually end this, and it's with this raffle. Okay, so I'm going to shake this up. These are all of the names of the current Mug Club members, those who have signed up before 8 o'clock this morning. If you signed up after 8, your name, sorry, isn't going to be in here. I had to print them off and get ready for the program. But if you want to be in this raffle for next month in January, please do sign up for the Mug Club, and your name will be entered in this raffle as well. We're raffling off a prize of a bird feeder. So I'm going to shake this up, and I'm going to open this up. And I cannot see which name I'm going to pull out. And I'm going to have you read this. Miss Cindy Dobrez, you are the winner of this lovely bird feeder. So when you come and pick up your mug, we will have this with your mug for you. And I hope that you enjoy your prize, and I hope that it attracts many birds to your backyard. Congratulations, Cindy. And with that, I'm gonna wrap up and invite you to, and can you pull that up on the screen, the last slide? I'm gonna invite you to next month's Coffee with the Birds. I think it's the last slide there. Nope, right there. There you go. Coffee with the Birds. Next month, live stream again will be 9:30 in the morning on January 9, 2021. Turning a new leaf into a new year. Hopefully it's a better year than 2020. And the tidbits topic that we'll be doing is snowy owl identification. So I'll have a few slides on how to identify snowy owls. You say, well, that's the easiest thing in the world. Well, not necessarily. If you want to look at specifics on age and male versus female, things like that, we're going to kind of dive into that a little bit. And so when you see a snowy owl this winter, you might know a little something more about it. So hopefully that's exciting for you. Hopefully you can join us. We'll have a date again in February and in March. You can find more information online, and we'd love for you to join us again. So can you go? So with that, thank you so much for joining. I hope you've enjoyed Coffee with the Birds this morning. I hope you've been seeing good birds, not only here on the camera, but also at your own homes. Please reach out and connect with us and let us know what birds you've been seeing at any time. And hope to see you again real soon on the next live stream Coffee with the Birds, and also hopefully sometime again real soon in person. Thank you so much for being a great birding community here in West Michigan. I miss you all. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you next month. Take care. Bye.